Good afternoon, and welcome to today's New York City Council hearing on higher education. At this point, going forward, I'd like to remind everyone to please silence their electronic devices, and at no point will anyone approach the dais unless invited. Additionally, no one will approach the witness stand unless invited to testify. If you want to sign up for in-person testimony, and you have not done so already, please feel free to fill out a slip outside in the hallway with one of the Sergeant Arms. If you have any concerns or questions during this hearing, please see one of the Sergeant Arms, and we will address your concerns swiftly. Chair, we are ready to begin.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Councilmember Eric Dinowitz, Chair of the Committee on Higher Education, and of course, a proud CUNY alum, the husband of a CUNY alum, the brother of a CUNY alum, and the son of a CUNY alum. I welcome you to our hearing on today's topic, the reading and writing crisis among college students. We're also hearing resolution number 500 of 2024, sponsored by Councilmember Rita Joseph, calling on the New York State Legislature to introduce and pass, and the governor to sign, legislation entitled the New York State College Safety Act to require that all campuses of the state of New York and the city of New York, City University of New York, permit autoimmune and immunocompromised students and faculty to learn and teach via remote instruction in as many courses as feasible whenever students or faculty are dealing with an unpredictable or temporarily debilitating impact of their condition. Excuse me. In the past 18 months, there's been a lot of discussion in the education press about the deficiencies in the reading abilities of incoming college students, including at so-called elite colleges, and about the education profession's concerns regarding the impact of AI on students' writing ability. Articles in highly respected publications like the Chronicle of Higher Education and The Atlantic have titles like these: How to Get Your Students to Read. This is for college students, not your young children. How to Get Your Students to Read. The elite college students who can't read books. Is this the end of reading? Is reading over for Gen Z students? And AI and the death of student writing. Reading and writing skills are undoubtedly a particular concern at CUNY, where many students whose first language is not English need good literacy skills to enter a competitive job market. Many causes for this new status quo are cited in the press, including learning loss and a decline in student motivation as a result of the pandemic, perhaps directly as a result of a lowering of academic expectations during the pandemic. Whole language reading instruction in elementary schools, which de-emphasized phonics and hurt reading fluency. An over-attentiveness to standardized tests, which use only relatively short reading excerpts with associated questions. The rise of smartphone apps, which do not require focused engagement with long written pieces. And a decline in the number of 13-year-olds who said they read for fun almost daily, from 35% in 1984 to 17% in 2020, according to the National Assessment of Educational Progress. And on a personal note, I will just add the reading for fun or engagement and literacy doesn't end in college. And just this morning, I was with President of Hostos Community College, Daisy Coca de Filippis. I want to give her a shout out because she and I were together reading her favorite book, Don Quixote. And I just have to say, reading this book for fun with someone as accomplished as her was a real great way to start my day, and something I wish a lot more of our students had the opportunity to do. And even relating to last month's hearing about the arts, and as we discuss the arts as it relates to free speech and criticism of our government, there is a lot in this book and a lot in so many of our literary texts that allow us as a society to retain our free speech and rightfully criticize or provide dissent to our government and those in power. And if the president's watching, I just want to thank her publicly. And even if she's not watching, I want to thank her publicly for our time this morning and look forward to more of these conversations about this book and so many other things. Writing in The Atlantic, Rose Horowitz offered another explanation. She noted that Nicholas Dames, who has taught literature, humanities, a required great books course at Columbia University for 25 years, had increasingly noticed that first-year students seemed unable to cope with his expectation of reading multiple books during the semester. One of his students explained that her public high school had never required her to read a whole book, but rather simply excerpts, poetry, and news articles. A majority of the 33 professors whom Horowitz interviewed for her article, including professors from Princeton, the University of Virginia, and Georgetown University, told stories about students' poor vocabulary skills, difficulty in understanding challenging works, and trouble focusing. Horowitz also pointed out that Carol Yago, a national literacy expert working on curriculum design with teachers, has said that secondary school teachers have stopped teaching long-admired classic novels like My Antonia and Great Expectations, perhaps in the face of increased focus on state and federal testing standards. Mike Skolka, a longtime educator in Boston and New York schools, remarked, "There's no testing skill that could be related to, can you sit down and read Tolstoy?" The title of community college adjunct instructor and writer Lisa Lieberman's article in the Chronicle of Higher Education last year made a remarkable statement: AI and the death of student writing. She wrote the article about her interactions with recent students who had used Grammarly and other AI programs to do their writing assignments for her classes, and about her subsequent realization that about 1/3 of her students were doing so. She remarked on her own colleagues' use of AI, including using AI to grade students' essays, or as she put it, students will write the papers with AI and teachers will grade them with AI. That's either pathetic or I just went to school at the wrong time. Years ago, before AI was in college, we had courses that were marked with a W. And what that meant for us was that we had to take courses where we actually had to write. And I think I'm at that age where I'm able to say back in my day, I'm like old enough to do that. So back in my day, we had to engage in these courses where we were required to do things like read entire books and write papers on our own about these books and about these articles that we had to read and write for the class. And this wasn't limited to English classes. In fact, some of my writing credits came from my music history classes or my political science classes, where even in those classes, we were required to do intensive amounts of reading and writing. I'm looking forward to hearing about the degree to which CUNY campuses are seeing these reading and writing deficiencies in their incoming classes, and what they're doing to enrich reading assignments in the humanities and writing instructions across all disciplines. The committee is interested in how CUNY professors are measuring their success in these arenas. Finally, the committee, as always, wants to know what additional support the City Council might need to provide. I want to acknowledge my colleagues on the Committee of Higher Education who's present, Councilmember Marte, and I want to turn the microphone over to Councilmember Joseph to read a statement about the resolution that we're hearing today.
Thank you, Chair Dinowitz. I think maybe we also need to reach back from K to 12 and pull them before they get into higher ed so they can read and write on grade level. Good afternoon, Chair Dinowitz and members of the Committee on Higher Education. Thank you for considering my resolution 500, which calls on the New York State Legislature to introduce and pass, and the governor to sign legislation entitled the New York State College Safety Act. This legislation would require all campuses of the state of SUNY and CUNY to permit autoimmune and immune-compromised students and faculty to learn and teach remotely in as many courses as feasible whenever they are experiencing unpredictable or temporary debilitating effects of their condition. Many students, faculty, and staff in our state and city colleges live with autoimmune or immune-compromised conditions that have been unpredictable or temporarily debilitating impacts. These challenges often prevent them from fully participating in person classes or teaching responsibilities. Our resolution urged the state legislature to act swiftly to provide appropriate accommodations for these individuals by allowing them to continue their educations or teach remotely when necessary. I want to thank my colleagues who co-sponsored the legislation, as well as Advocate Emmanuel Segerson, who worked closely with my team to draft this proposal, and the legislative drafters who helped bring this to the stage. I look forward to hearing from the administration representatives, as well as representative from New York City and state higher education institutions, and member of the community who have vested interest in this policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Joseph. I also want to acknowledge we've been joined by Councilmember Botcher, and on Zoom we have Councilmember Felice. I'd also like to thank Adam Staropoli, my legislative and budget director, Jenna Klaus, my chief of staff, Judith Goldsmith Pinkham, the committee's senior legislative counsel, and of course, Regina Paul, the committee's senior policy analyst. I would like to remind everyone who wishes to testify in person today that you must fill out an appearance card, which is located at the desk of the Sergeant at Arms near the entrance of this room. Please fill it out even if you have already registered to testify in advance. To allow as many people to testify, public testimony will be limited to 2 minutes per person. I'm going to ask my colleagues to limit their questions and comments to 5 minutes. Please note that witnesses who are here will testify before those who are on Zoom. Now, in accordance with the rules of the council, I will administer the oath. Please raise your right hand. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this committee and to respond honestly to council members' questions? Thank you. As a reminder to all of our witnesses, please state your name prior to your testimony for the record.
Ann Lopes. And good afternoon, Chairperson Dinowitz and members of the City Council Higher Education Committee. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today about reading and writing education at CUNY. I am the Interim Vice Chancellor for Academic and Faculty Affairs at the university. I'm joined today by my colleague, Cheryl Smith, Associate Dean of the Weissman School of Arts and Sciences, Professor of English, former Director of Writing Immersion, former Coordinator of the Writing Across the Curriculum program, and a former director of the Great Works of World Literature program at Baruch College. She will also provide testimony. Andrea Sunachan, University Dean of K-16 Initiatives, is here as well to answer any questions you may have in her area. Whether or not we're facing a reading and writing crisis among college students today, particularly in the era of artificial intelligence, is a critical question we must ask ourselves as educators and as a society that is undergoing rapid transformations in how people learn, teach, and work. At CUNY, we do not perceive the current shifts in student reading, writing, learning, and communication habits as a crisis. What we have seen and continue to see since the arrival of the internet are transformations in how students learn, read, write, and communicate. We have been addressing these changes with clear expectations, research-based strategies, and the supports students need to succeed at the university and beyond. Excuse me. Unlike many higher educational institutions, CUNY has always educated a very large, extraordinarily diverse, and multilingual student body from every borough of New York City. Over 80% of our entering students are educated in New York City's public schools, and we collaborate with New York City's public schools to ensure our students are prepared for college-level writing. 30% of the first-year students enter with CUNY credits, and our schools of education conduct extensive professional development for in-service teachers, as well as educate those entering the profession. Serving such a broad range of learners underscores our mission of access and excellence. The diversity of our students as learners has taught us to continually update and adapt the approaches we use that undergird access, from course placement criteria to our general education requirements, from our pedagogies to our academic supports. The latter includes professional peer tutoring, professional tutoring, supplemental instruction, review sessions, formalized student-led study groups, and other services. For our students with disabilities, we provide additional innovative support programs based on best practices to support their academic success and personal development, including arranging for crucial auxiliary aids and services, assistive technology services, note takers, readers, sign language interpreter services, distance learning networks, priority registration, alternative testing, and counseling referrals. We meet our students where they are and we move them to high levels of academic literacy. Our admissions and support model for both associate and bachelor's degree programs are focused on student readiness and supporting their success. Reading and writing skills are important for college success, regardless of the student's degree program. We changed how we assess readiness in reading and writing in 2019. Prior to that year, CUNY used separate tests for reading and writing course placement. Nationally recognized research, including work led by CUNY researchers, demonstrated that high school performance is a stronger predictor of college success than one-off placement exams. That research helped us set up a new standard and guided our own policy shift by bringing these together, the assessment of reading and writing. Even before that time, nearly all CUNY colleges treated reading and writing as inextricably linked. Students routinely write in response to readings, integrating comprehension, analysis, and expression. Today, we use multiple measures to place students that reflect sustained academic performance and integrated literacy. These include the New York State Regents Exam in English Language Arts, which itself combines reading and writing, high school GPA, and SAT, ACT English when available. Based on these measures, we place entering students in developmental English composition. The information we compile about our entering students tells us that their reading and writing skills have not changed considerably in recent years. Number one, to start, we place nearly the same percentage of entering students in developmental English composition today than we did in 2018. The percentage was 14.9% in 2018, and it is 14.3% today. In 2018, we placed all students who needed developmental work in standalone remedial, non-credit courses. Based on the multiple measures we use, students identified as non-ESL who need added support are now placed in credit-bearing courses with co-requisite support. Co-requisite support means that rather than 3 hours of weekly instruction, students typically have 5 hours of weekly instruction with faculty in English composition. In-class peer tutoring, supplemental instruction, limited class size are strategies that are used. While many students identified as ESL entrants are still well served by non-credit ESL courses that focus on language acquisition, several CUNY colleges also offer more advanced students English language adapted credit-bearing English composition courses that include linguistic support. This approach has substantially decreased the time it takes for students to earn credits in English composition. This is important because passing English composition allows a student to move forward in their degree program. Number two, our gateway completion rates in English composition have rebounded since COVID, whereas the rate of completion was 77.2% for all first-time freshmen in 2019. It dipped appreciably to 71.7% during COVID in 2020. It stands now at 81.8% for the 2024 cohort. And third, overall grade distribution in English composition across the university has remained relatively consistent over the last 5 years. Throughout an undergraduate's academic journey at CUNY, literacy and communication are not siloed. They are built into the curriculum across disciplines. Under our Pathways General Education framework, every student completes 2 English composition courses. The emphasis on reading, analysis, and argument continues throughout the remaining general education requirement and within the majors. Reading, critical thinking, and evidence-based communications are expectations for all CUNY undergraduates, not just for English majors. In the post-COVID period, We have also focused on preparing our students to read and write well in an AI-rich world. Our faculty teach students to evaluate sources, detect bias, and maintain authorship and voice amid digital and AI-generated text. Many instructors now include AI literacy, not as a shortcut, but as a critical skill. To succeed as undergraduates, excel in graduate school, and enter the work world, students must learn when and how to use AI tools ethically and productively, and when not to. As part of the expansion of generative AI, CUNY recently updated its academic honesty policy after deep university-wide dialogue about AI's role in academic work. The policy was fully updated in 2024 to integrate AI explicitly throughout. The policy provides clear guidance on appropriate and allowed uses of AI so that students can practice transparency and integrity while developing modern communication skills. The policy makes clear that faculty retain the freedom to determine when and how AI can be used in their courses. To support faculty, the university has invested in professional development for faculty from the beginning of the AI boom. The CUNY Innovative Teaching Academy has long been central to integrating AI into sound pedagogy and rethinking assessment where appropriate. The Academy has offered 6 major AI-focused workshops and events over the last 14 months, from an orientation on AI tools to a session on how AI can support growth mindsets. A book club on teaching with AI was also introduced, along with a CUNY-wide faculty fellowship program supported by a Building Bridges to Knowledge initiative funded by the Lumina Foundation. Over 900 faculty participated in these AI learning activities. They are among our most popular programs, with some filling every available seat, even in large virtual formats. And that describes only the central activity. Campuses across the university have run their own intensive AI professional development series for faculty. At Lehman College, for instance, the Center for Teaching and Learning offered 7 different sessions on AI to over 550 faculty in spring and summer 2025. Through evidence-based placement at the start, academic supports, and integrated curriculum, policy, faculty development, and responsible AI pedagogy and research, CUNY demonstrates how a large public system can lead in literacy education. More of our students are completing first-year composition on time. More are progressing into writing intensive work across the disciplines, and faculty are increasing their abilities to help students navigate an AI-rich world for learning and beyond. We welcome ongoing collaboration with the Council to share data, scale what works, and ensure that every New Yorker has access to the reading, writing, and communication skills that power opportunity and civic life. That concludes my testimony. Thank you for your time. To further describe the reading and writing experiences of students at one of our colleges, I now turn to my colleague, Cheryl Smith, Associate Dean of the Weissman School of Arts and Sciences at Baruch College, CUNY.
Thank you so much, Anne. Good afternoon, Chair Dinowitz, fellow reader, and the New York City Higher Education Committee. It's my privilege to speak to you today. In the interest of time, I won't outline all of my roles at the college. I just want to highlight a few that are relevant to the introduction. As the Writing Across the Curriculum coordinator at the college for about 10 to 12, maybe 15 years, I worked very closely on those writing intensive courses that you mentioned. We call them CICs, or communication intensive courses at Baruch. And Writing Across the Curriculum in the early aughts had a very strong presence at CUNY, and I think has really infiltrated the curriculum. Happy to talk to you about that more if you're interested. Also, as coordinator of the Great Works of World Literature program, I did that for 5 years. That program was established about 25 to 30 years ago with an NEH grant, and it's modeled on Columbia's Great Books program. All students at Baruch are required to take that class. So students at Baruch take the 2 writing classes that are standard across CUNY, plus the Great Works of World Literature course, which is part of our Baruch's unique core. These 3 classes are carefully scaffolded. They're both run out of the English department, so the directors of writing and great works work closely together. And many faculty teach in both programs, share resources such as faculty-run professional development that happens quite regularly in our department. We also train graduate students from the Graduate Center. Therefore, students spend up to 3, usually consecutive semesters engaged in the work of developing their proficiency in advanced reading and writing, which are linked in the classroom. It's a real boon for us to have those 3 semesters with students. So writing is always done in response to a text or informed by source texts. If students are not doing and understanding the reading, they are unable to meaningfully write for their classes. Students struggle in these 3 classes and with the demands of college-level reading and writing. They come to college with some deficits in advanced literacy competencies, including the ability to read very dense, difficult texts like Don Quixote, use evidence effectively, apply reading and writing standards that are appropriate to the audience and discipline, and structure their writing for optimal clarity and impact. These are consistent struggles. I do not see their deficits and struggles as a literacy crisis, personally. If students aren't struggling, they aren't being challenged enough, and the deficits that I see in reading and writing currently have been consistent over my time at Baruch and before. I've been teaching college writing since 1994 as a PhD candidate, and then my first job was at another college before I was very privileged to take the job at CUNY. I want to talk about how we support students as they struggle, but I want to point out students love these classes, and I'm not saying that because I'm biased. Of course I am, but they love their reading and writing classes. They're small. They get to know one another and their professor, and perhaps most importantly, they have the very rare benefit of having a careful reader of their work. In our first year Writing and Great Works courses, we operate from a simple premise. Students write well about texts and topics they care about, for people who they believe care about them. We intentionally cultivate an environment of care in our classrooms, which provides a space for students to experiment, try something new, perhaps fail, recover, and try again. And they don't want to disappoint their teachers because they know their teachers care about them. In my experience, CUNY students are willing to falter, fail, and try again. They're profoundly motivated to succeed academically and professionally. And I say this as someone who taught at 2 elite private liberal arts colleges before coming to Baruch. CUNY students are uniquely motivated, and I am uniquely motivated to teach them well. We support their learning processes and success in coordination with a writing center and a student academic counseling center, so students have access to peer tutors if they prefer that, or professional tutors if they prefer that. I'm happy to talk about those resources at the college if you have any more questions about that, but in the interest of time, I'm going to jump ahead. Many of these CTL, we also have a Center for Teaching and Learning that supports faculty. And in the past year, or really 3 years, many of our CTL events have centered on artificial intelligence, which we know is expanding rapidly, and we're all rushing to keep up with what that means in our classes and in our professional landscape. In the 2023-2024 academic year, the Center for Teaching and Learning at Baruch actually partnered with a group of student research fellows to investigate whether and how undergraduate students at the college were being impacted by the increasing availability of generative AI tools. The researcher leading that group was our writing director and a tenured English professor and my colleague. The main research question was how are college students at a large urban public university in the US using and experiencing generative AI as a tool in their learning context? What better way to address this question than faculty and students working side by side? And that report is actually on our website. There's a link to the website where all the generative AI tools that we provide for our faculty and students, open source. You can see it on our website and you can read that report. And I welcome you to invite you to do that. I think you'd find it really interesting. Now, this was in the early days of generative AI. A lot is changing. Finally, the Weissman School has a grant from the Teagle Foundation. It's part of their Cornerstone for Living initiative to support the inclusion of transformative text in the humanities and general education curriculum. I'm the co-PI on that grant. Our Teagle-funded initiative is called Reading is Human, and it creates defined pathways through general education humanities courses that centers students' active engagement with both reading and writing with these transformative texts while elevating the value of the humanities in their developing cultural awareness, civic involvement, and educational and professional success. We also aim to cultivate students' softer skills, which I think literary study always should cultivate. These include empathy, interpersonal connection, and aesthetic appreciation. We read because it's a beautiful experience. Using the Teagle funds, we're embedding transformative text in select courses as determined by panels of faculty in the participating programs and departments, which include first-year seminar. All students take that. First-year writing, great works, philosophy, and Black and Latino studies in the pilot year, and we hope to expand it to history and other departments in the future. With the support of our Center for Teaching and Learning, faculty are developing active learning strategies for reading and responding to difficult texts, ways to engage in the slow and recursive processes that research shows help develop critical close reading skills. Students don't come to college with those skills fully developed, but no, that has not changed in my view in the many years I've been in the college classroom. These processes include reading a text first for surface understanding, annotating the text while reading with or without guidelines, briefly free writing in response to a reading, rereading part of the text aloud with the whole class, perhaps while isolating sections that are harder to understand and annotating them collectively, working in small groups, reaching back out to the larger group. This scaffolded practice builds reading community in the classroom and helps ensure comprehension and engagement with the text. Our approach aims to make reading a positive, not punishing experience. Students are then better prepared to take on higher stakes writing tasks that engage with the reading. Students don't come to college having mastered reading and writing. They're still on that journey. They will encounter more readings, longer readings, and more difficult readings in college, and they need time to develop the muscle to rise to the challenge of reading more complex texts. Similarly, they'll encounter more challenging writing requirements in college and will need to ethically navigate evolving digital tools. Their success with these challenges is determined by their ability to read critically and carefully in collaborative environments and accurately evaluate the unique contexts, audiences, and purposes for discrete writing tasks. It's always changing, and you got to be on your toes. I hope my testimony has provided some insight into how our colleges are providing the time and tools for students to build their literacy muscle and graduate with the reading and writing competencies we know they need for academic, personal, and professional success. Thank you for your interest in our work to advance student literacy and for your ongoing support of CUNY.
Thank you so much for both of your testimony. I want to share one thing. I want to affirm. I agree with you that to struggle through is a good thing. That's what kind of all courses should be. Mm-hmm. Because if it were too easy or if you knew everything going in, you wouldn't need the course. Uh-huh. But that is distinct and different from a crisis, right? Which is, and sort of, it sounds a little bit like we're talking about like things on a parallel track, but with some distinctions, like some basic questions. Can you read a book? And is that book one of a classic book? Is that something that's still done? And so I just want to kind of confirm what I heard in both of your testimonies, that besides the students who come in needing co-requisite courses, or besides the students who come in with English as their second language, you do not see a literacy crisis in those incoming classes of students.
Absolutely not. So it's pretty clear based on, we're using the same measures, right? And students are doing similarly on those measures. Same with English as a second language students who are taking these credit-bearing courses. We're seeing the similar kinds of results.
So that was something interesting to me in your testimony, because you cited the English Regents as one of those measures of knowing where to place students. And currently, right, and in my opening, I had said, a lot of the tests that are used to measure student success don't include books. They don't include long writing. They don't even include all of the state standards of writing drafts and rewriting and going back and researching. And the English Regents is one of those examples where they just give you a short passage and you answer some multiple choice questions. Maybe you write an argumentative paragraph or short essay of 3 paragraphs. But it doesn't seem aligned to some of the more long-form skills and more intensive skills that students need in the classroom?
Absolutely. That's why we use multiple measures. We look at their whole high school performance as well, how they did in English in high school, how the credits they took, the courses they took, as well as the Regents and SAT, ACT if available. So it's all of those measures that are important for placement.
So I want to move on from placement, but I did just want to point out that because the standards can change, right? And I believe they've gotten lower. You need a 75 on the English Regents to be considered college ready. I don't personally believe that's college ready. And it's 75 on a test that I would hope we all acknowledge doesn't measure that. But let's talk about like what's happening at CUNY, because I'm interested to know, like, we can agree or disagree about the placement and how students come in, but how are you, I want to use the phrase you used in your testimony, clear expectations. I'm interested to hear more about what those clear expectations are for students.
The general education curriculum, right, 42 credits of curriculum, has very clear expectations for students around writing, reading, critical thinking, communication skills. Those expectations establish learning outcomes in each of the courses students take. They take composition, right, these 2 courses in composition, where the expectations are clearly set. We have a discipline council, an English discipline council. English is a large department in probably in every
and sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I just want to clarify that those expectations are CUNY-wide, or each school has their own.
CUNY-wide expectations around general education. Yes.
Okay. I have 5 bullet points up, and there are just from your website, it says you need to take 2 courses that are considered composition among other courses, 1 math and quantitative reasoning, and 1 life and physical science. But as it relates to the English composition, I see 5 bullet points. Are there more expansive standards or expectations that CUNY has outlined?
So the bullet points are learning outcomes. Those are then broken down, right, further in the course. So Cheryl, could you give an example?
Sure. There's definitely a learning goal there about writing with sources, like incorporating sources into a written argument. And those would be learning goals, again, just for those required core courses. The ones that you listed are part of CUNY's required core. Mm-hmm. We also have a flexible core. That would be a lot of the humanities, social sciences, and other courses that students are required to take across CUNY. And there's a lot of writing embedded in those too. They would be the history course or a philosophy course or a history of art course. So we also have those courses. But I think that the expectations across CUNY are that students in any writing class are writing and revising at least 3 polished pieces of writing that are generally longer than 5 pages, and they can vary. You might go from shorter to longer. So it depends on how the instructor scaffolds those assignments and breaks them up.
I'm going to say it again. Back in my day.
Yeah.
I said it. Oh, and now my back started to hurt because I said back in my day. No, because I'm old. No, back in my day. But so that leads to more of my question, because it doesn't say it on the website, or at least not where I see it. But you're starting to say, well, you're required to write at least 5 pages. I know with my writing courses, I think it was at least 10 pages, like a 10-page paper or something for my writing courses. You're saying that as part of the writing curriculum, students have to write a certain number of papers that are at least 5 pages each. Is that standard across the board?
Well, that would vary by college to college, right? So I think colleges have their own internal structures for deciding how they're going to scaffold out the writing, but I think it's fairly standard. There's a writing discipline council as well as the English discipline council, so writing directors across CUNY get together and talk about those, and I wasn't writing program director, but I was Great Works director, and I could talk to you about how we use writing in those classes. And those classes are much more focused on reading literary texts. The freshman composition classes are not necessarily focused on reading literary texts. They're focused
so what are those CUNY-wide standards? Because what I see here are goals, and I'm hearing you talk about expectations that aren't written here. So what are more concrete?
The standards come from those goals. So the way that courses are designed are that you have these goals, that faculty get together, right, in these discipline councils, and they discuss what does that look like concretely. Each department reviews the extent to which, so faculty peer review, the extent to which the syllabi through curriculum committees meet those goals, right, and meet what's been discussed in the discipline council, right? So those standards, right, are happen through the practice of teaching, through the practice of developing those syllabi based on those learning outcomes. That's a traditional way that we establish standards and disciplines at the collegiate level, right?
Right. So no, I get all that. So that sounds then it's like each college kind of has their own way they're interpreting these goals.
Well, I mean, it's also, the discipline council has a lot to do with it. Our courses also need to transfer across the system, right? And so to do that, there is a CUNY-wide vetting process of these, gen ed syllabi and their ability to go across the system as well. So there's engagement of faculty across the system. It's a faculty-led process, let me put it that way.
Right. I'm still not quite hearing like what are the measurable expectations. So, for example, if I'm CUNY Central and I'm trying to audit all of these syllabi or look at all these disciplines, am I looking and saying, okay, for a literature course or a writing credential, a writing course, there needs to be X number of papers, there needs to be X number of books that are written? Are there any?
I think it's quantitative, it's qualitative.
Okay.
So it has our students, there are rubrics that are developed also by these councils where there's scoring that happens. It's not necessarily the number of pages per se or the quantity, but is the argumentation critical? Have students used sources reliably? Do they know how to endnote, footnote, and reference text? Do they know how to recognize an authoritative text? And they're scored on these kinds of things, right? They're marked on these kinds of things over the course of their academic career. There's also writing across the curriculum, and there are writing intensive courses throughout the curriculum that faculty across the university discuss and develop standards about what should be in your rubric, for instance, for evaluating student work.
So let's. Maybe we could talk a little more specifically about Baruch at a particular college.
Yeah.
Can you talk some more about some of those, the particular rubric that's used to say, yes, our students can sit down and read a book. They can write on their own. And like, what are some of those standards in that rubric?
So in the rubric in the writing class, it's going to reflect a lot of what was just said, but we use mostly thesis, evidence, structure, and style. Now, some faculty talk about thesis as a focus, a main argument, but we want to make sure that students understand, here's your prompt, here's what you're writing about. Are you answering that prompt, and are you evolving a rich and clear thesis and placing it in the right place where it should be placed for the context of the writing that you're doing? Usually it's toward the beginning of an essay, but writing can happen in different places. Evidence. Are you using the correct evidence? Are you incorporating it accurately into your piece of writing? Are you analyzing that evidence and showing the reader how it supports your argument? Very important, and that's one of the standards in our rubric. Structure is, does the way you've put your piece of writing together make sense? Is it clear? Is it following a clear plan? Is it maybe growing, building in momentum? Does the direction make sense? Is it easy for the reader to follow? And style is generally grammar and usage, but also, is your voice there? Is it appropriate to the audience that you are supposed to be writing this piece toward? So there's definitely grammar in there, there's usage, are you employing grammatical tools rhetorically, which is what we want from advanced writers, not just correctly, but rhetorically. Does it make sense that you've structured that sentence the way you've structured it, that you've structured that paragraph the way you've structured it? Does it build in a logical way? Is there rhythm in your writing? So style is grammar and usage, but it's a little bit more advanced at the college level. You should be able to be an effective writer. You have to employ those tools
The
meaningfully.
committee likes the rubric.
Yes?
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
It's tests.
Yeah,
Easy to remember.
tests.
Thesis, evidence, structure, and style, tests.
I got it. Got it. And then anecdotally, your professors, are they reporting to you? Because I outlined in my opening a number of articles, even at, I said, so-called elite universities, have you haven't anecdotally heard professors talking about students' vocabulary, students' ability to sit and read a book?
Professors do complain about students reading, and they have from well before AI and well before the last 5 years or since COVID. I think, students take shortcuts with reading. Here's what happens when they go to college. They suddenly have 200 or 400 pages of reading to do in a week. They never had that for the most part in high school. So students are struggling to keep up, and they're going to take shortcuts with their reading. So we have a lot of faculty development around how to support reading, and that's why I applied for that TEGL grant. Was I wanted to come up with more ways to support reading in the classroom. So that's not new. I'm not going to say
I just want to I want to read from my I don't mean to interrupt. I want to read from my opening because yes, students are going to take shortcuts. My question, I'm really less concerned with what students are doing and more how we're addressing what students are doing. Because students are always going to take shortcuts.
Mm-hmm.
Also, by the way, grown-ups are going to take shortcuts. This isn't unique to students.
Mm-hmm.
But just Rose Horowitz noted Nicholas Dames, he taught literature humanities at Columbia, increasingly noticed first-year students unable to cope with expectations of reading multiple books per semester. Have the number of books that are assigned each semester decreased? Like that is one measurable question that addresses one of the concerns we have as a city and as society. Have the number of books that have been assigned decreased?
In the college classes that I have been teaching for the last 20 some years at CUNY, no, have not decreased the number of books. So in a Great Works course, it's a survey course. It's broken into two halves. Students can choose a half. It's cut off at 1650, so it's from antiquity to 1650 and 1650 roughly to contemporary age. That's a big time period. I always teach at least 2 full-length novels. Usually they're shorter novels. I won't choose a Don Quixote, although certainly we might teach excerpts of that. But I would teach all of, a Shakespeare play always in the first half. I would teach all of the Odyssey. I would teach all of Frankenstein in the second half of the course. That's a common one I teach. So, and then we do full lengths of full books of poetry or selections, essays. We do full plays often. I mentioned Shakespeare, but others as well. So absolutely, I have not, that has not changed.
I would say, by the way, we were talking over an hour this morning just about Cervantes' biography and like 2 lines. So like
Right.
It's a lot. It was a lot. I made it out alive.
So I don't think I have not seen that there's been a reduction in the teaching. And maybe one of my more important credentials that I haven't mentioned is I'm the mother of a senior in high school, public high school in New York. So I see the kind of reading he did in Regents class. I see that many students are coming to CUNY with AP credits, AP Lit and AP Lang, 2 AP courses that are commonly transferred in. There's a lot of reading in those classes. So they are doing full length reading. I mean, he read the Odyssey. He didn't read the whole thing. They excerpted it, but he's usually reading full-length texts in high school.
And so for your entire, for however many years you've been teaching, your typical is 2 full-length novels plus some excerpts for a semester? That's like a typical...
Well, that's in the Great Works of World Literature class because I'm trying to cover such a broad period. So I would say 2 full-length novels, a full play. Always do a play because I like to teach dramatic literature. I like to do a lot of different genres. And I like to teach a full collection of poetry as it was published, not just selected poems, so that students are getting the arc of the poet's work. So I'm doing at least and this is in a survey course, I'm doing at least 4 to 5 full-length texts, and then I do essays and short, excerpts, speeches, like to do a lot of different short stories. That's fairly typical. So 5 full-length literary works in a Great Works course because it's a survey class. When I teach American literature class, I might teach anywhere from 8 to 10 full-length novels. Say when I did regional literature, I think I taught about 8 full-length novels in that class.
And have the faculty positions in literature and humanities been cut in recent years? And have those cuts been comparable to cuts in other academic fields?
I would have to look at the data, so I don't want to base it on my experience in one college before this position. So I'd have to look at the data and see if that were true. I don't think there were cuts in those fields. We need a significant number of faculty in the humanities to teach the general education curriculum. And so I don't know, though. Let me check and see if I can get that data. I'm not sure we can centrally without surveying all the campuses. This is campus-based data as opposed to central data.
At Baruch College, in the School of Arts and Sciences, the English department, in terms of number of full-time faculty, is one of the largest. Even though our majors and minors in English are, it's not one of the largest group where we have the most majors and minors. In arts and Baruch means business, so most of our students are in the Zicklin School of Business, but we have many, many majors in arts and sciences. Two largest departments for majors are psychology and communication studies. English has about the same number, or close to the same, rivals the number of faculty in those departments because we teach so many students.
Did you filled out that checkbox, by the way, which was you have to say Baruch means business at least once, right? So kudos.
Well, from my perspective, we mean so much more. We're all about building empathy, so.
So the School of Humanities and Social Sciences at Brooklyn College, where I was formerly provost, has more faculty than any other school at Brooklyn. So, or did when I left there 2 years ago.
Okay.
Significantly more.
And just going back to what we were discussing before, have you compared, or how often are course syllabi compared regarding reading and writing requirements across campuses to determine whether the similar expectations are being set?
So there is a general education committee, so CUNY-wide committee, that addresses similar expectations in courses for them to be part of the gen ed. So there is a faculty-led committee that does that work around syllabi. Departments then on the college level and through the discipline council compare those syllabi.
Mm-hmm. And you've been part of those conversations?
Yeah, especially in my current role as associate dean, we do work with the pathways appeals process, looking at pathways courses. So that would be the flexible core in particular. But we have had lots of discussions. You know, if students are transferring from any of our community colleges to Baruch and they have taken the writing courses at LaGuardia or BMCC or any of our sister colleges in the system, we accept those credits. That's part of the CUNY Pact. We want to make sure that students are moving through their curriculum and graduating in a timely fashion. And we work hard on that. So we have to trust those courses are preparing our students to take great works. So as the great works coordinator, I would receive transfer students into my classes and often, you know, poll them, talk to them, see what any kind of deficits they may have in great works, whether they're native Baruch students or whether they had transferred in. And then I could work as writing across the curriculum coordinator with the writing programs and faculty at other schools. We had a very close relationship with LaGuardia in particular. I worked a lot with those faculty.
And the courses outside of standard English literacy courses, can you talk about the interactions you have with those departments to ensure the writing standards are up to CUNY standards?
Sure. Some of the most difficult reading, I think, in our flexible core, our gen ed curriculum is in our philosophy classes. It's really difficult. Those are literary texts, as far as I'm concerned, but they're very dense and difficult literary texts. So we work really closely with faculty in the other humanities departments in particular about the reading they're assigning, how much reading they're doing, and how they're asking students to respond to the reading. Now, disciplinary norms come into play. Philosophers and historians want students to be able to read and write in different ways. They're looking for different information when they're mining a text, and they're looking for different maybe approaches to writing than English faculty who are literary studies scholars. So we work really closely. We work through the CTL. We have, in fact, have a meeting next week with some thought leaders from philosophy, Black and Latino studies, which is an interdisciplinary major, and history faculty are coming, first-year seminar faculty and English faculty are coming. They're meeting with the CTL representatives. We have 3 folks from CTL who are supporting us. That's our Center for Teaching and Learning. And we are working together next week over lunch to plan a larger scale faculty development program for faculty in philosophy, history, English, first-year seminar, and Black and Latino studies.
You said over lunch?
Yeah, we're meeting over lunch, but I have a Teagle grant that's paying for
I was
that.
going to say, who pays for the food?
Teagle, when you get a grant, that's one thing you can do. You can feed your faculty and work together over
That's
lunch.
so
It's
nice.
nice.
We're not, we're not allowed to feed our staff here in
I
the city
know.
council.
It's private money.
It's
Teagle
I'm sure
grant.
we can't take that either. So, what's that? I can't. You change the laws. I can't change. Who do you think I am? I can't change the laws. So you spoke about sort of some of the, kind of what you're getting from the DOE and the standard you're using, like the regents and the grades. But what communication is done in the reverse? What conversations happen for you to discuss with New York City Public Schools what CUNY expectations are, so that public school teachers are better able to prepare them for college?
So I can answer part of that, and then I'm going to call on one of my colleagues who's here to answer the rest of that. So part of that is we prepare many, many New York City public school teachers ourselves, right? Most of them come from CUNY, right? I mean, graduated from CUNY and teach in New York City public schools. So there is a standard there, right? Based on that. We also do a lot of professional development for in-service teachers in New York City public schools as part of what CUNY does. And then there are formal networks and formal structures that also work on that alignment. And my colleague, Andrea Sunichin, is here and may be able to address that.
Come on, we just need to. Yeah, I'm just gonna. If you raise your right hand, do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this committee, and to respond honestly to council member questions?
Yes.
Thank you. State your name for the record, please.
Andrea Zunachan. So I think the primary venue that we have for really bridging the high school experience to the post-secondary experience is our dual enrollment work. So about 30% of New York City public school students who matriculate into CUNY come with CUNY college credits through our dual enrollment programs. The majority of those students have taken successfully actual CUNY courses, right? So they have become accustomed to how to read a syllabus, how to correctly annotate a research paper, how to read some longer texts. We focus a lot, most of those courses are the sort of core CUNY Pathways courses. So students are taking the credits that they will need as first-year students and really getting acclimated to those college-level expectations.
And have the number of those classes expanded in the recent years?
Yes, we've grown by several thousand students over the last several years, and we hope to continue to do that. So last year we enrolled about 34,000 students. Part of that is the expansion of new funds through Future Ready NYC, through New York City Public Schools. So yeah, we hope to, and then there's some new state funding for P-TECH and Smart Scholars. So we continue to grow the portfolio of high schools that are engaged in dual enrollment and dual credit.
And do you see a difference between the students who come in with those CUNY credits and students who are college ready on the Regents, do well in high school, but don't have those CUNY credits? Like, can you tell just by the way they write or their ability to sit and read a book?
Definitely. I would say, we have a lot of students coming in with a lot more credits when they're starting as entering freshmen. And those students many of those students in the College Now program or in the dual enrollment program are able to take the first semester of the required writing course. A lot of students will transfer that credit in, or they'll transfer it in through getting a 4 or 5 on the AP. So those students will take the second in our sequence of 2 writing classes in their first semester in fall. And anecdotally, I can say those are very popular classes to teach. A lot of faculty love to teach those. We don't offer as many of those second in the sequence of writing and for first semester freshmen, but those students come in exceptionally well prepared. Yeah, they have a little boost. As was mentioned, they're able to read a syllabus, and they're also not in shock about the reading and writing requirements. So they're able to jump right in. I definitely see a difference with that. I think it's really good.
I think the national data shows that as well. There's a real difference in student outcomes when they do college level work in high school, both in completion and in academic achievement. So both of those areas.
And what role do you think the council can play to support even enriched reading and writing courses and instruction throughout the university system?
So, so the council could be helpful in also advocating for more supplemental instruction for our students, more work as well, more support structures for our students. So our tutoring programs, both peer tutoring and professional tutoring, are really highly used, right? I mean, really incredibly used. We could use more online tutoring, being available 24/7 for our students. Our students are older, many of our students, returning students as well. We need to make our services available at all times. It's a little uneven. We could use more funds to be able to do that. For certain, all of our support services could always be boosted. Students can always use more, and they would excel even further.
Money, money, money. Yeah, we would love to. I think this council has been a real champion of CUNY. I think we've time and again shown that how valuable CUNY is both to our city, but also as an economic engine of our city. And it's the right thing to do morally to support our students and our education system. I want to thank you for testifying today, for coming today to talk about this topic. And do we have any witnesses on that testimony? Okay, so for everyone from CUNY, I want to thank you for coming today and for your testimony, and I look forward to continuing these conversations. And I will now call up the first panel. Okay, the first panel. I now open the hearing for public testimony. I remind members of the public that this is a formal government proceeding and that decorum shall be observed at all times. As such, members of the public shall remain silent at all times. The witness table is reserved for people who wish to testify. No video recordings or photography is allowed from the witness table. Further, members of the public may not present audio or video recordings as testimony, but may submit transcripts of such recordings to the Sergeant at Arms for inclusion in the hearing record. If you wish to speak at today's hearing, please fill out the appearance card with the Sergeant at Arms and wait to be recognized. When recognized, you will have 2 minutes to speak on today's hearing topic, the reading and writing crisis among college students. If you have a written statement or additional written testimony you wish to submit for the record, please provide a copy of that testimony to the Sergeant at Arms. I will now call the first panel, Christopher Leon Johnson and Cheryl Thomas.
Ready? Yeah. Hello, my name is Christopher Leon Johnson, and I'm here to show support for the children in CUNY that actually needs to learn the read and write. Let me explain what's going on in CUNY, right? The big issue with CUNY is that CUNY is so hell bent on pushing for books that I know I can't say it on We're on live TV in Year 25, but they say some most vile stuff that you could ever hear of. CUNY is more hell bent on pushing woke ideologies in these schools, in these colleges. That's the reason why that these kids have a hard issue reading and writing. There was a time that when I was in CUNY, Kingsborough, they give us intermediate books to buy, about $80 and above, but those books was intermediate and they had like really hard words. That really helps kids out there, people like me out to understand terminologies in this world. But now CUNY has gone to this route of instead taking all that stuff out of the curriculum and putting, let's say, LGBTQ vile books in the schools, and they push these books in these kids' faces, and all these books all they talk about is sexual innuendos. Instead of like the schools going back to say, okay, well, when we push like old history like Mozart, Shakespeare, Othello, and all these real topics, they more hell bent on pushing sex these schools are more hell bent on pushing sex to appease, to try to get money from the Ford Foundation and all these foundations like the Open Tides and all these foundations. They completely lost out. They completely took out the real essence of learning inside the schools. These schools completely gone woke. That's the problem with these schools. I know that you don't have. I know you're scared of losing your chairship in higher education, but this city council is a woke city council, and nothing's going to change because we have a woke city council that is way over the real ones like you up here. I know you care about the children, but we have members in this body that don't give a crap about the children. And so what happens is that they allowed this to happen. We have a city council. We have a city council that's hell bent on pushing drag queen story hour, and that need to stop. So thank you so much.
So much for your testimony
Thank you.
today. Appreciate it. That concludes the in-person portion of our public testimony. We will now move to remote testimony. If you are testifying remotely, please listen for your name to be called. Once your name is called, a member of our staff will unmute you. You may then start your testimony once the Sergeant at Arms sets the clock and cues you to begin. No. Great. If there's anyone else present in the room who has not had the opportunity to testify but wishes to do so, please raise your hand. Seeing no one else wish to testify, I want to thank CUNY and thank everyone for tuning in and for attending today about the reading and writing crisis in our colleges. I think there's a lot more conversation that needs to be happening. When we are in the confines of our school or CUNY, it's very easy to think things are going well, but I believe there's enough evidence to show that the students need a lot more support and help when it comes to things I mentioned in my opening testimony, sitting down on their own without the use or without the support of AI writing papers for them, sitting down on their own and reading through a book. And that work is done both at the CUNY level and in the K through 12 space and in the 0 to 5 space. So we have a lot of work to do as a city and as a country to make sure we're diving in deep to texts and that we are supporting good quality readers and writers. And I look forward to continuing to work with CUNY to make sure our college students are ready for anything life has to throw at them. And with that, this hearing is adjourned.